Welcome back, ARK players, to a brand new video. Now today I'm going to be keeping you guys updated on the new update which went live for ARK Survival Ascended, because in a lot of videos, I'm getting comments saying, hey Dom, what was this patch that went live? And it's because Studio Wildcard now actually only put major patches on the forums page now. So if you want to get up to date with every single update, it's in their Discord, because even some of the majorish patches that go live, they don't always put on their website, and that's probably what confuses a lot of you guys, that when you see an update like the recent one that came through that was like 3.3 gigabytes on Steam, and you're like, hey, where are all these patches coming from? And I think a lot of people get frustrated sometimes because they're like, oh, that means I got to download the entire game again. So I'm going to be covering what's in the update. I also want to talk about tomorrow's community crunch because I think it's a pretty important one. The reason I say that is because we're missing a lot of things at the moment. And Wildcard, Snail Games, Studio Sirens need, a lot of us are waiting for some answers on some upcoming content, and that's what we're going to be talking about. So if you enjoyed today's video, as always, feel free to drop a like and subscribe. It really supports me, and let's get in with the video. Right, so first of all, we're going to be going through the patch notes, which eventually all of this was only Steam, and now it's come to all platforms. So fixed Warrior Rage not being learnable after Bloodlust. Server fixes, fix being able to tame multiple dreadmares with a single altar. Fixed the misspelling of longitude on the map. I didn't even notice that. Did any of you notice that? Who reported that? Fixed chibis being killed when using an implant to respawn. I know this is a pretty big one for people. Fix plant species X destroying itself when on a raft. Fix garden compost bin skin setting option not saving properly. And fix Warrior Rage displaying more upgrade stages than the intended to. And fixed a couple of exploits. On Astraeus, they also fix spawning on bed in Pyranthos after transferring. Now, when I saw some Astraeus patch notes, I was very excited, because has it just been me lately? I've noticed it kind of getting a bit better recently, but is it just Astraeus has been seriously, there's been something up with Astraeus for a while. Like, the Mega update came out, and then it was smooth for a long period of time. And I'm getting so many reports of you guys as well on official saying Astraeus has been a bit of a buggy mess recently, and the ping has been crazy, all of the things like that. And, you're constantly trying to do everything you can to help Astraeus, and then it comes to a point where it's just generally all down to Studio Wildcard. So I'm interested to see what's your experience with Astraeus at the moment, guys, because I have noticed it got a little bit better recently, but there's just been definitely something going on with that map since some recent patches, and it's really frustrating because it's my favorite map. I know it's a lot of people's favorite map as well, and people just want to enjoy it and play it without issues. So Wildcard, when I saw Astraeus, I was hoping this was going to do something, but yeah, I don't know. There was also another minor version that went live, which was life drinking trait no longer gives health for structures, and they also fixed another exploit. Here, they also had another minor version where they threw global chat spam bots in the bin, and they fix an associated exploit. Apparently this has been an issue on official. Have you guys noticed it if you're playing? Have you noticed the spam bots being an issue on global chat? But apparently Studio Wildcard have put things in place to prevent that in the game. There's always going to be some trolls looking to do something, that Studio Wildcard, and that fix actually went out literally an hour or so ago, which hopefully that is going to fix any of those issues when you guys are trying to play the game normally and use global chat normally. But yeah, so it was kind of like a minor version slash major version, because the update, again, when it's one of those actual fairly big client patches, a lot of people have to re-download the game, and it can be very frustrating, even if it's only 3.3 gigabytes. How big was it? If you got it on console, let me know in the comment section down below, and hopefully we're going to be getting, this is kind of the build up to the major stuff, which we're going to be talking about now. So in last week's community crunch, I wouldn't say everyone was super excited about this season pass. I'm personally going to get it because I get anything when it's related to ARK, but I know that a lot of people are like, hey, is this another thing I'm going to have to spend money on? Some people are like, oh, I'm quite excited about some fantastic tames. Personally, I like them, and it's kind of been like a 50-50 response that I've seen. But the reason behind this is because people are waiting on Unreal Engine 5.7. Like, this is something that I was talking about with my team, was I was actually saying that people, if Wildcard gave an update, and they knew that they were going to be releasing a Fantastic Tame Season 1 pass, and if they did a crunch and they gave an update on Unreal Engine 5.7 with the kind of date on when we're expecting it, and then later on they also did the Fantastic Tames thing, then people probably would kind of not complain about it as much. I think when the free content isn't talked about enough by Studio Wildcard and the promises in the past, and then when people are craving and waiting for that news, they then get told they're going to be spending $10 on a Fantastic Tame Season Pass. I just don't think this is the best way. I've always thought Studio Wildcard's timing with posts, and it might not be Studio Wildcard, it might be Snail Games forcing them to do it, I don't know, but it is absolutely terrible in that sense of things, because people wouldn't mind and would probably complain less if you had some news on the stuff they were waiting for. So this Friday's crunch, Unreal Engine 5.7, if we do not get information tomorrow night on Unreal Engine 5.7, then I'm getting fairly concerned that there is going to be a delay. I did say that I was having a feeling, because earlier on they said they thought it was coming in March, and then they officially announced it in the crunch that it was coming in April. And then I went, wait a minute. Are they going to do any improvements? Like, every year, right, as a company, you look to make improvements. Will Studio Wildcard do that with their timings? And then I thought to myself, I'm not so sure, because last year Ragnarok launched in June, and just before that in May, the Unreal Engine 5.5 update went live, and I was like, is a pattern going to follow here? Because Genesis Part 1's coming out in June. Are they going to sort of fall to the same pattern as they did last year with 5.7 coming in May? I really hope not. I really hope they give us some time before the DLC launch of Genesis Part 1. And, right now, I think the game is kind of in need of this 5.7 update more than ever. As I said, things with Astraeus, things with just people crashing. Apparently this 5.7 update is so massive for console. And also, as we mentioned, they've given themselves a very tight release schedule, and you're starting to think, if we don't hear something today, then, in the next crunch, then when are we going to see anything, and is that going to mean everything's going to get pushed back? Like I've mentioned in many videos, in the past, this is like the tightest schedule I've ever seen Wildcard with their releases, because they said that the ASA World Creator is coming out in May, and this was our first look at it. So their plan was to have Unreal Engine 5.7 in April, ASA World Creator in May, and then Tides of the Fortune Genesis Part 1 in June. Now, the reason why 5.7 needs to come before this is because they're already building Tides of the Fortune and Genesis Part 1 within 5.7. So this DLC cannot release without the 5.7 update. The only thing that concerns me is initially the World Creator was meant to be coming after Unreal Engine 5.7 and Genesis Part 1. This was actually meant to be Q3, and apparently they've come in and said it's coming in May. So I hope they haven't gone ahead and tried to, shoot themselves in the foot again a bit more and be like, we're going to be able to do this, we're going to be able to do that, and then they just go quiet on it and then we don't hear anything. Because it's not even just ASA World Creator and all of this other stuff that we're waiting for news on at the moment. It's also, if we go back, because this year's flying, where in the world is Survival of the Fittest? This is like, what is going on right now? Like, this was meant to have launched Q1 2026, and when it was when it was January, I was thinking, okay, I don't think it's gonna be in January. I think it might be more like February, March time. When you see Wildcard put up a thing, and Snail Games saying it's going to be coming in this date, always expect it. They've given themselves a 3-month launch window. always expect it to be the last month of that date. Never expect it to be early. And we all expected it to come in March, and it's now April. And the fact is, it's the communication side of things that people get frustrated about, right? Because it's just about constantly being told things and then not even being told, like, you know, it kind of makes you feel a little bit silly because you're sort of waiting for something to come out and then you're not even told, hey, unfortunately, it's not going to meet the Q1 2026 deadline. We're now going to push it to Q2. There's none of that, and I don't understand. It takes, like, literally the tiniest amount of time to just put, hey, we're making some good progress still. Unfortunately, the date we set out, it's not going to happen. They just go radio silent, and, you know, it's not nice for fans that are, you know, massive supporters of the game. And yes, we are used to it now. But I don't think we should just be living by that kind of, oh yeah, we're just used to it. I think we should be able to be treated a little bit better as fans of the product and fans of ARK, because, you know, I know this is free content that Wildcard and Studio Sirens are giving to us, but we're still being told something's coming, and, you know, some people get really excited and think, hey, this might be coming for my birthday, or hey, this or that. And, you know, especially if you're younger and you're looking forward to something, and then you just get so let down and so disappointed. So, yeah, there's many things we're waiting for at the moment. And, of course, the Unreal Engine 5.7 performance update is what the entire community are waiting. They said they're currently targeting April, and this was back way at the start of the year. I am getting concerned, but there are still 3 community crunches to come in April. The later it goes on, the more worried I get. I'm hoping we will see something tomorrow. If we don't, then I am concerned that it's not going to launch. I don't want to see another Fantastic Tames or DLC. I mean, if they do show something on Genesis, you know, Tides of the Fortune, the Bob's True Tales season pass, okay, that, you know, that would be cool because that's something we know is upcoming in June. But I think right now what the whole rest of the community are wanting is performance, and we're hoping that Studio Wildcard can give us an update on that on Friday. Anyway, fingers crossed, everyone, because this is the big one. This is the one a lot of us have been waiting for. They're always quite terrifying because we don't know what's going to break, but 5.5 was smoother than I expected last year, and I'm hoping the same can happen with 5.7 whenever it does come. I will catch you guys in tomorrow's Community Crunch. Fingers crossed, everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.